How to create amazing textures in Clip Studio Paint by using the Streamline tool. Go to the Tool panel and select the Figure tool. Go to the Color Set panel and select the colour Black. Go to the Subtool panel and select the Streamline option and then go to the first entry. Go to the Subtool Detail panel. You will find that via the Window menu. The Subtool Detail panel shows all the settings for the current Streamline tool. The preview at the top of the panel doesn't particularly look like a texture at the moment. Go to the Streamline category and Destination layer and set to the second entry, create a new layer. Click the Make Curve. Go to the Angle setting, set to 90 and all the lines will be straight down. Go to the Brush Size category, change the brush size. You can see the result of the changes in the preview. Also, you can go down to the Disarray and add some randomization. Really good for a texture. You can always tweak the brush size at any point. Just keep changing it. Just check the preview. But the key thing is you can't change it once you've applied the layer. Go to the Drawing Interval category and change the gap. You can increase or decrease the gap. You can see the result in the preview. Set the grouping to 1. You want it to group across the entire design, and also set the maximum number of lines to a high value. Go to the brush tip category and then change the circle brush into another brush, perhaps one of your own brushes. Click on the Material tab in the centre of the panel. It's on the right side. Click on the box below to bring up all your brush tips. There's lots of brushes to choose from. Click one of them and then click OK. This will create a subtle change to your Streamline design. Go to the Direction entry and then go to the right side and you will see a little box. Click on that and that will bring up an option for randomization. As we want to create a texture, there should be a lot of randomization involved, so any option for randomization is always good. Go to the Spraying Effect category and click the Spraying Effect. Go to the Particle Size entry and increase the size. You can always see the result in the preview at the top of the panel. Go to the right side, you can see a little box. Click that and then you will be able to randomize the particle size. Go to the Particle Density field and change that, increase it. And again, you can see the preview. You can also go to the right side and randomize the particle density. Go to Spray Deviation, set that to a fairly high value as well. Go to the Direction entry and click the right side box to bring up randomization. More randomization, the better. You can always change the settings at any point, so you can always go back to brush size or gap, etc. and change them. Go to the image and draw a line from left to right to create your first texture layer. The texture looks pretty thin, so what you need to do is create multiple layers. So go to the document again and then draw from left to right to create another layer. The second layer is very similar to the first, but the result is accumulative, so you can add 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. layers. Go to the image and then go from left to right and draw another Streamline layer. Go to the Layers panel and you can now see you have 3 layers. You can interactively modify any of those layers by holding down the Command or Control key to display the bounding box and the curves. Go to the red curve, right-click at any point and add a control point. You can then select that and drag and change the curve in many ways. You can use the bounding box to reposition the texture. You can also resize it as well as rotate the texture. Sometimes you'll find that the panels have a tendency to get in the way, so you have to move them out of the way and then resize the texture. You now have a lovely curve in the texture. Creates a nice design feature. What you can then do, of course, is go to add additional layers. Go to the image and draw another line from left to right to draw another layer. Hold down the Command or Control key to display the red line and then again manipulate that curve. Right-click anywhere along that curve to add a control point. You can then drag the control point to change the curve and change the texture layer. You can use the bounding box to rotate, resize and reposition the layer. You can continue to modify the curve. You can continue to modify the bounding box to change the texture layer. If you wish, you can also go to the Layers panel and select another layer and then change the bounding box and curve of that as well. You can continue to hold down the Command or Control key and then keep changing the curve until you're happy with your design. You can also go to the Layers panel and use blending modes and opacity to change the texture layers. You can also rasterize the layer via the Layer menu. You can then go to the Filter menu and apply effects such as blur, wave and mosaic. Once you're happy with your design, you can then go to the Layer menu and flatten image. You can now export your design to other applications, but you can also register it as a material. Go to the Edit menu and Register Material and select Image. The Material Property panel will appear. Go to the Material Name field and give it a name. Make it something unique and also perhaps descriptive. I always go for Texture 1. Go to the bottom left and click the Use for Paper Texture. If you don't click that, Clip Studio Paint will not know that the material is a texture. Go to the Location settings and set a location for your texture. I'm going to go for Monochrome Pattern and you'll find texture in there. If you wish, you can also go to the Search Tag entry and add some tags to make your texture easier to find. As clearly the texture is not a seamless texture, I'm not going to set any tiling. Once you're happy with everything, click OK. Your material is now saved as a texture. You can use it with brushes, etc. If you want to save the tool, you can also do that. Just go to the Sub-Tool panel and then right-click the tool that you've just been using. Use the Duplicate command to duplicate the current tool. Then give it a name and click OK. You now have a new tool that you can use in future projects in Clip Studio Paint. Any changes to the tool, the first one in particular, now are saved. So if you want to revert, you can also right-click that tool and then select Revert. So now you have got two tools. You've got the original tool as well as this new wonderful texture tool. You can now build up a whole library of texture tools. You can use those to create all kinds of textures in Clip Studio Paint. Hope you found the tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extras channel, always adding new tutorials about Clip Studio Paint as well as other applications. Please add a comment or two. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Please add a dislike or like. Thank you much.